Well, hello, friends. My name is David Trotter with Awaken Magazine, and I'm so excited. Today is our third day of launch week here for Awakened Hearts. You see the beautiful hard copy that we have here. This is an anthology featuring 32 inspiring stories of awakening. And each day we're featuring a conversation with several of our contributing authors. And so today we have with us Dixie Willis, Natasha Davidson, Julie Wasmer, and Viviane Chauvet. And so thank you guys so much for joining me. It's great to be with you today.
It's great to be with you. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's
So
exciting.
for those of you who are not familiar with the Awaken Hearts book, it just released on Monday, and we've been working on this the last several months. And the vision behind the book is over the last year, as I've been interviewing people and just connecting with people through Awaken Magazine, I've heard countless stories of awakening and awakening to consciousness, mindfulness, spirituality, healing, transformation. And I just began to think to myself, man, if we could get some of these stories into a book in the form of chapters, and then get this book into the hands of women and men who are asking the question, is this all that life is about? Is this it? Right. And for a lot of people that's kind of in the middle of life or in the midst of transition or challenge. And if the stories could be a mirror, a reflection of the reader's life through that challenging experience, and see and listen to stories of healing and transformation like these amazing authors that we have with us today, then that could awaken hearts and minds and transform lives. And then part of the power of this book too is not only that the stories are inspiring, but at the end of each chapter, there is the individual's bio and their website and a QR code for you to be able to reach out to them via their website and get their support and encouragement as well. Because many of the people that are featured in our book are conscious leaders, healers, coaches. Some are everyday seekers who are, just figuring things out and have a powerful story to share as well. So anyway, that's the background on the book. Today, we want to talk about this idea of awakening and even the process of writing and sharing one's story. But I want to begin by giving an opportunity for each of you just to introduce yourself, tell us who you are and how you particularly serve the world. And that could be through many of you are full-time conscious leaders, healers, coaches, but others of you may have a full-time job. And so we'd love to hear about that too. But I would say we had a situation a couple of days ago where someone revealed the location of their job, and they had an employer contract where they're not supposed to say where they work on social media. So please don't do that here, because otherwise I'm going to have to take down the video and edit it and then put it back up, which I had to do. All right. So, hey, let's start with Dixie. Who are you and how do you make an impact in the world?
Hey, David, thank you so much for having me. I love being a part of this. I am a spiritual life coach, and I have my own business, so I can say that. You won't have to edit this. Spiritual life coach, I work with individuals very similarly to what you were talking about. I've had so many people who have asked and said there has to be more to life than what I'm working with right now. I've worked with many people who are going through this. And I'm a former licensed professional therapist turned spiritual guide back to my spiritual practice so that I can spread awakening and the message to more people around the world. And I was just kind of had the soul tap to go back to helping people with higher consciousness, with helping the planet heal. That's kind of my thing. Is I'm really passionate about those two things, and inspirational writing. So that's how I reach the world. And this book has been beautiful in that process. So thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Wonderful. And you're in Colorado, is that correct?
I am in
All right.
Colorado.
Good, good.
Yes.
But you serve clients all over the world, of course,
Yes.
via the
Yeah.
power of the interwebs.
Yes. It's
Uh,
wonderful online.
yeah. All right. Well, hey, Julie, tell us about yourself. Where are you connecting from? How are you helping people and serving the world?
Sure. I'm from the Los Angeles area, Woodland Hills, and I serve people mostly one-on-one. My practice, I have a practice out of my home, but I also serve internationally as well. My daughter actually lives in Australia, and do a lot of healing with her long distance. And I'm an intuitive guide, energy healer. I work with helping people really facilitate their higher potential, and that's through the innate wisdom of the body and using the codes from the emotion, body, and belief code practices. That's my primary way that I tap into the information that I come across, and I'm able to decode illnesses, like where they are generating from, so where the imbalances are in the body. And I'm also a sort of a a frequency healer. So I'm kind of got a gift that I'm able to feel the frequency to help people move that energy through their body. And I use intuitive breath work as well.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And of course,
You're
we love the
welcome.
color of your blouse today. That matches here. And I don't know if I have to move my microphone. I have my Awaken Hearts T-shirt on, and my partner Mandy, who
And I got my book in the mail today. So
I love it.
that,
That's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Mandy
And I
told
just,
me that this shirt.
I wanted to
What were
just
you going to say,
share
Julie?
something, if I could, is that
Yeah.
my chapter is chapter 24, and today's the 24th. It's a very special day for me that I picked to do the interview today for this week, because it's also my daughter and my sister's birthday, and it's the day that I became cancer-free 28 years ago.
Amazing. So happy for you. What a wonderful synchronicity. That's beautiful. Too
Yes.
good. Viviane, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're connecting from, how you're making a difference in the world.
It's huge impact. So what is unique about who I am is that I am conscious since I was a child, and I am an ET being. I'm an Arcturian being. I represent the Arcturian star delegations in a hybrid human form. My body is a prototype that was engineered by the advanced holographic technology of the Arcturians with the Andromedans and other star nations. So I'm a voice for an ambassador for the star nation, so to speak. And I am the founder of the Arcturian University and the online universal community. So we are truly a very beautiful sanctuary for spiritually advanced, multidimensional, multi-consciousness, and multi-timeline education, where we provide master courses, gatherings, retreats, holographic group healing opportunity to work with the Arcturian healing chambers, and really about rediscovering what it feels like to reascend onto the higher organic timeline of ascension. And so I bring a unique perspective to the book on the awakened hearts. And I talk about, my chapter is about an ET journal, a diary of my perspective of how I experience human life and how I see evolution, opportunity, and ultimately it really leads to the awakening of the heart. And this is more than a wonderful book title. It is truly the gateway of your reascension and your enlightenment, and of course empowerment. So interweave life experiences have been of service to the planet ever since I returned. Over 15 years, hands on with, I've served over 50,000 people all over the world. In fact, I'm getting ready to host my annual retreat in Germany coming up in the next week. So we're very, very active and very honored to be here.
Thank you so much, Viviane. I really appreciate that. Thank you for so eloquently articulating what you do. And I love the blouse, your color of your blouse, which seems really, pretty surfacey compared to all the things you just said. Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. All right, last but not least, Natasha Davidson, tell us where you're connecting from and how you're making an impact in the world.
Yeah, I'm here in Southern California, Newport Beach, Costa Mesa area. And my vision is helping people get out of chaos and into getting in touch with their inner peace. So I use my intuitive gifts in being able to identify where there's disharmony. And disharmony is just due to separation, to segmentation. And so utilizing the unifying gift of love, I help bring things back together again for people. And I do it in person, with people individually. I do group sessions. I work with the collective consciousness and identifying where to bring harmony to, where to unify, where there has been separation and segmentation.
Wonderful. Thank you, Natasha. And those of you who don't know me, I am passionate and committed to amplifying the voices of conscious leaders, healers, and coaches. And we do that through Awaken Magazine, Awaken Hearts, Awaken Lifestyle, a new directory site that we have, and all sorts of amazing things that we have in store in order to work with wonderful people like we have with us today. I want to begin by asking you a question around this theme of awakening. I have loved the term awaken, and I used that for many years as Awaken Media when I was producing, directing feature films on important social issues. So this word has been kind of a part of my life for many, many years. And so when we launched Awaken Magazine, I wanted it to kind of figure it out how to use it somehow. And some people will say, well, how did you name Awaken Magazine? I go, well, number one, awakenedmagazine.com was available. And so that was an easy choice. That's why I got named that. But what do you believe the word awaken, awakened, awakening means to you? I want to hear from your perspective, because each one of us, has our own perspective on this and our own flavor. And so, Dixie, would you mind going first and just sharing, what does the word awaken mean to you?
Sure. To me, I call it a soul tap. It's getting still, and it's, some people think of it as like a nudge, a voice, a small voice that you hear, or I've witnessed it as a knowing. But it's to me, it's my heart and soul. It's actually listening, not from here, but from my heart. And that's where when I get still and I really listen to my heart and soul, to me, that's awakening for me. So that's soul tap.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to us, Julie. What does the word awaken or awakening mean to you?
I feel that awakening, I mean, it's very broad in the sense that it can be different for everybody. But it feels to me that it's really a paradigm shift with your consciousness. And it's a higher frequency that you begin to move into as you start to get out of the head, get out of the mind, move into the frequency of love, which is through the heart, of course. And that we can share that universally with everybody that's around us, because our energy field, is like a ripple effect and reaches out to everybody. So awakening is seeing things from a higher perspective. It's understanding that we're really one with the universe, one with the earth, and respecting the earth, eating healthy food, treating your body as the temple that it's supposed to be to house your soul and your spirit, and moving into that consciousness, and also being very open to other ideas that are out there. Like, some people listening to Viviane might be like, what? And awakening is being open to that consciousness that, yes, there are people that are from other star systems. There are people that channel non-physical beings and bring forth the most profound information to help us heal and to help us go into our heart. And so awakening for me is moving into that and being able to feel that and having a connection with spirit as part of that, the divine source.
Thank you, Julie. How about you, Natasha? What are your thoughts on this whole concept of awakening?
Yeah, I think of awakening as realization and expansion of consciousness. So for some people, it could be a big aha. And for others, it could be a slow process of little little realizations. And I think ultimately what we're realizing is that we're pure consciousness, pure awareness, having this fun earthly experience. And it's an invitation to get more in touch with our soulful self, and recognizing we're not just our mind, we're not just a body, we're also this other beingness. Um, and yes.
It seems like to me that there are so many ways one can awaken, and you guys are kind of touching on this. Like one is like your shift from head to heart, but then also, Julie, you touched on the health awareness of health, and some individuals that we talked with yesterday, authors, were like um, awareness of, or an awakening in the area of relationships, to go, oh, I've had this divorce and this breakup and this challenge. I wonder who's the common denominator here. Oh, it must be me, right? Like that's an awakening of awareness in relationships. And then oftentimes, of course, we tend to use the term awakening connected to spirituality, recognizing that what we see is not just like, this isn't just the only reality that we're dealing with, that there's something beyond, right? So anyway, I just want to bring that to our awareness of, there's lots of different awakenings that we can have, right? And also, I think one of the challenges that I see as one who is a little newer to this whole spiritual realm, because as many of you know, I was a Christian pastor for over a decade and went through many years of kind of a deconstruction process, and I've kind of stepped into this whole world in the last 5, 6, 7 years, and so I feel like I'm the sponge, right? I'm just learning so many different things, and it can be a temptation to is that a buzz on? No, it's not my phone. Is that one of your guys' vibrating phones or something?
It's the garage downstairs.
Oh, your
Sorry,
garage.
my
Okay.
son's leaving. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. No worries. Um, I thought sometimes it's like a phone sitting right next to the microphone or something.
He's
Um,
gone.
so it can be easy to think I have got it figured out in whatever one of those areas of life, right? I have awakened to what the true perspective is on life, and then uh, kind of like sit in a seat of judgment or criticism toward others who have not figured out whatever it is that I've figured out. And man, I just listened to all 4 of you. If I could, ask you a few questions, I've interviewed many of you at length, and I just sit there and go, wow, you have like learned so many things that I have not learned. And that posture of learning, not feeling less than, but just a posture of openness and like, oh, what can I learn? What perspectives can I have? I love that. You said that earlier, Julie, like, okay, I'm listening to Viviane. Whoa, mind blown. Like, how do I assimilate this? I love that posture of learning. I think that's oftentimes why I have a lot of people say, wow, I like listening to the questions you ask people. I go, well, the reason why is because I'm genuinely interested. Like, I'm genuinely curious. Like, what are you talking about? Help me understand this, whatever it is. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. Viviane, tell us, what is your perspective on awakening?
Thank you, everybody. It's beautiful. I love to stay in the energy with all of you. For us meaning in terms of my delegation and I, awakening we see as a gateway of new possibility. It's a gateway of remembering more and more the true essence of who you are as a multidimensional being, advancing as a more conscious human galactic beings rather than a 3D fragmented human being. And everything that it involves, it's almost like the image I'm getting, it's a beautiful lotus flower that has been told you can only blossom to a certain degree. And the reawakening or the awakened heart, it's that activation of that gateway of remembrance and new possibility that allows you to embody new shape and forms and expanding so much to the point that you're rediscovering very much about what is possible, and you're releasing yourself what has been false or belief system or ingrained or pattern put into, your subconscious field. So it really is a gateway of remembering and tapping into new possibilities.
You said fragmented 3D.
Human beings, yeah.
Yeah, fragmented. What does it look like to be a fragmented 3D human being?
A great example of it, let's look into practical ways of what do we mean by that. I see that a lot in my practice because I work and I had a joy of being a privilege to be of service to so many people. A fragmented human being is one who will ingest too much information rather than knowledge, and then it re-fragmented their perspective on how they perceive themselves, abiding more through your physical senses, feel different or separate from the rest of the universe, and it kind of restructure little sub-realities, and people tend to feel comfortable, and then there's a false safety that builds onto that. And this is where the 3D personality mind comes on and says, it's okay, I'll take it from you, I'll lead your life for you because I'm going to protect you. So it creates that false sense of protection and retraction in terms of what feels comfortable, whether it's religion belief system, which I respect, whether it's belief system, ancestral, cultural upbringing, political, and it really create more subdivision. I think it's Natasha talk about segmentation. Absolutely. So it's shifting the dynamic coming from I'm living, in my own little reality. This is my yard. This is my fence, and nothing behind that really, touch me. I'm in my little bubble. That's how it's an aspect of fragmented. And depending on when you talk about consciousness or state of consciousness, well, at what level, what aspect of you is conscious and aware of what within what filter of reality. So it's very multidimensional, very complex, and yet so accessible. That's the beauty of it. It's you releasing yourself from some of these false sense of fear or limitation or safe of security, safety, and then what is it that is driven your life. And I see that even in the spiritual community where they're just a little bit above the 3D matrix reality, and they go like, okay, this is it, I know everything, I know, I've learned so much, I've ingested information so much. And we say, well, it's a great stepping stone. Allow us to show you there's some more possibilities.
Wonderful. Thank you, Vivian. Really appreciate that.
Of
For those
course.
of you who are just joining us or tuning in, I want to encourage you to pick up the book. So we have Awakened Hearts. If you're just jumping in, it is an anthology, which means that there are 32 inspiring stories of awakening. Here's the paperback or the hardback and the paperback, and you can get your copy at awakenedheartsbook.com. That'll take you right to the Amazon page. And on Kindle, we're number one in 3 different categories right now. And so it's kind of crazy how Amazon chooses these categories. Like when I work with a publisher, you kind of choose categories and then Amazon just randomly picks stuff. Like we're number one in dating, relationships, and spirituality, which I don't know how that happened. And also, by the way, this is so crazy. The publisher that we're working with is Ingram Spark. I choose the categories, and I choose 2 categories that are kind of like more inspirational. And I chose one that was a little bit more on the outside. It's like mind, body, spirit, and then paranormal, right? Because there are some that are unique categories. Well, that translates on Amazon as ghosts and hauntings. And so the paperback is number 1 right now in ghosts and hauntings.
Oh, wow.
I did not advertise that. I didn't be like, "Hey guys, look at this. We're number 1 at ghosts and hauntings. This is wonderful." What the heck? So I have a meeting with Ingram Spark tomorrow to go, "Can we take that down? Can we figure out how to get rid of that? Because that doesn't feel good to me." All right. Hey, I want to hear each one of you wrote about part of your story of awakening, because one of the things we didn't touch on here is that, awakening is not a one-time experience. There are multiple experiences of awakening over the course of our lives. And so, in writing a chapter, you kind of have to choose what that part of your life that you'll talk about. But I'd love to hear from each one of you briefly, how is your life different? Like from the before awakening experience that you wrote about till now, how is life different for you? And I want to hear about that from and more to be inspired by it, right? To go, oh, this is what life is like for you now, based on the experience that you've gone through. How about you, Natasha? Would you mind getting started? Maybe share a little bit of just briefly about what you wrote about and how life is different for you now.
Yeah, so the title of my chapter was The Courage to Feel. And I used to be really good at suppressing emotions. And I had a big event in my life that encouraged me to feel. And so I let myself feel.
That's an understatement for sure.
And so I learned that feeling is healing, right? And speaking, Vivian, of like the segmentation, I realized that when we suppress emotions, suppress feelings, we're creating segmentation and separation. And so when we're able to fully feel our feelings and we just welcome them in, we embrace them and just bring them so close to us, then they dissolve through the vibration of love, right? And so I really wanted to speak into that because that has been a huge realization in my life of, okay, no matter what I'm feeling, I'm going to embrace it. There are no, bad feelings. Like they're all valid. They're all serving a purpose. And in fact, our body is so intelligent that it has this messenger system of communicating to us through our feelings. And so if we can just be sensory and if we can get into the stillness and really feel and let ourselves feel, then I have found that it's my guidance system, right? And then it gets me to a point where I can just get more in touch with the purity of my heart, because I'm able to not have those judgments, those misperceptions, that segmentation, all of that. And it's just it brings me to unity. So that is kind of the gist of my chapter. But how I'm different now is that I just embrace whatever feeling, emotion is coming to me, and I use that as a messenger, as a guidance.
Thank you, Natasha. Appreciate that. Julie, how
Yeah.
about yourself? Maybe just share real briefly what you wrote about and how your life is different now.
Okay. Very eloquently expressed, Natasha. Mine's very similar because I went through a period that was of grief that just really threw me into a completely different state of being. And my life before, I think I felt more contracted and limited and very limited in what my beliefs were and closed off to certain things. I felt it affected relationships, maybe not understanding myself and not really feeling that I was really tapped into the spiritual world. And so my story basically expresses a lot about how I discovered or rediscovered the feeling of unconditional love and how that frequency is really, what we all need to be moving into, and that we're not alone. When we go through these traumatic experiences that happen to us and we go through, grief or something else that really rocks our boat and really changes our world, that the divine is guiding us for us to, for us. What's happening to us is for us and for our best and highest good. And when you start to listen to the callings that come through by being quiet and doing different kinds of work, journaling, gratitude work, meditation, whatever it takes, you're able to start to hear those voices and start to hear that higher guidance that comes to you. And
Wonderful.
I think I'm just a lot more open. I'm a lot more at peace than I was. I'm able to look back at different times of my life and see where I may have hurt somebody and see where I may have done something that was not for the best and highest good of everybody, of being more reactionary, because through not being able to express myself, which I think was my biggest limitation, was feeling very closed off in the throat chakra. It's something that I'm still constantly working on, and not being able to truly express how you're feeling for fear of ridicule and judgment by others. And so that, I think, was just one of my biggest takeaways with it. And so
Thank you,
now I
Julie.
feel that I've stepped through, kind of pushed through an area with that. And my life just seems a lot more at ease. And I'm like a sponge. Like you are, David. I just absorb and can't help but listen to conscious leaders and people that are teaching different things. I just think it's so beautiful, because we're constantly growing, we're constantly learning, we're constantly going through this evolution process. And so the awakening it's a current, it's something that we're still doing, where we go through it at different speeds, and there's contraction, there's expansion. And so as we move through that, it's just something that you keep going through, I guess, until maybe Viviane knows, until you hit that enlightenment where you're completely, one with God and in that aspect, at a different level. I think we're always going to be learning and taking all that in.
Awesome. Thank you, Julie. How about you, Dixie? Tell us just briefly a little bit about your chapter, and then how is life different for you now?
The chapter is Remember Who You Are. So to say it briefly, as a therapist, I love working with people, but I'm also a medium, a shamanic practitioner, Reiki master. So it was hard to kind of bridge both worlds. And as Natasha and Julie have said, I was suppressing who I was. I was burned out. So I was in that state of low mood a lot and burnout. And since then, since I had my awakening, I am who I am. The chapter is Remember Who You Are. We are spirits having a human experience. So I got out of that burnout in that low mood and remembered who I was. And I'm not burned out. And I'm really enjoying working with my clients. I don't have to worry about, certain things that you can and can't do as a therapist, which is great. But I couldn't, if you see a spirit during a grief session, not that I would just come out and say, hey, I see, a spirit here. I wouldn't do that. But I'm not as suppressed as Natasha and Julie are saying in their own way. I don't feel as suppressed as I used to, and I'm fully being who I am. And I'm, excuse me, in able to work with more people in that way around the world. So I'm very, very happy about that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dixie.
Yeah.
Viviane, how about yourself? Maybe just briefly a quick snapshot of your chapter, and how's life? I mean, you've been kind of experiencing this for quite some time, but maybe how life is different for you these days.
There's so much shift in the Earth timelines. It's incredible. So my chapter is called "A Visitor Among Us," a journal of an ET being. So I want to bring, I'm a bridge between the intergalactic, interstellar realms and this plane of reality. And Earth humans are no exception. You are part of a very, very vast family or interstellar family that is very extended. And it's time to bridge that cosmic bridge of returning, of re-embracing who you are, is embracing also the encoded of these galactic codes and genetic markers within you. So my chapter brings a perspective of how I speak as an Arcturian being, our perspective in that way, mixed with a deep human journey and what I have learned here, the challenges, the adaptability. I want to inspire also star seeds around the world, and those who've come, fragments of souls who've come to embody these human form, and how we can really move together, understanding what the awakening of the heart is about. And as I complete my chapter, I ask a question to the audience, to all of you. And as you're going to be reading, I'm going to invite you to reflect within your heart and the wisdom of your being, as opposed to chattering of your 3D mind, about on that question that we ask. because that question is going to help becoming the guide, the leading force, a spark of light in your life, and says, that brings me in another direction, and I'm embracing that. So I know that the language we use in the chapter may really make your mind going like you're spinning 1,000 miles an hour, but it's designed for this because, you know, we have everybody on the planet have the same ability. We simply forgot, and it's helping people, regardless of your galactic origins, to return to that place of infinite source creation. Everything is energy, everything is consciousness.
Thank you, Vivian. All right. I would love to continue to invite you to, if you haven't already, pick up the book at awakenedheartsbook.com. It's available in ebook, paperback, hardback, and it's available there via that link. It'll take you right to Amazon. Let's chat for a second about your own writing process, particularly this chapter. What was it like writing this chapter? What was it like emotionally, mentally, maybe even how you write, like when you take time to write, where do you write? What's that process like? Natasha, for you, what was it like writing this chapter for Awakened Hearts?
Yeah. So I never really thought of myself as a writer. I didn't think I had it in me, and I surprised myself. So I would take some time each morning when I was fresh and just let it come through. I would just let it flow through me. And in fact, it was a bit of a cathartic process in going back into the memories and feeling all over again. And that actually provided so much value to me in this whole process of being able to feel what it was almost like there were still things that I had maybe suppressed, and being able to feel that again was a beautiful experience for me. And then it opened me up to more realizations, more inspiration in this path.
And I would let you guys know, as potential readers of the book, there are chapters that are very emotive. Natasha's is one of those where you're going to feel, and most likely you'll feel if you have gone through something similar, right? The chapter is like a mirror for you to go, whoa, okay, I'm seeing myself in this story. And my hope is that when you see that someone else has come out the other side, and they've got wisdom and transformation and healing and peace and a sense of groundedness, that would inspire you as well through that story. That's of course the goal. So thank you for sharing that, Natasha. Vivian, how about you? What was it like writing this chapter, and what does your writing process look like?
Well, like anything I create, when I do content creation, whether it's, a master course or a topic or something, first I reflect, I open my field and I reflect with the energy of what is it that I really want to convey, how it's going to impact people, not just in the now with the launch of the book and then, for the next few months, but moving forward really much so, even if it's 5 years from now. I want to see how it's going to impact people. What kind of ripple effects do I want to co-create, and in what way that those ripple effects will generate either inspiration or emotions or other form of expansion. So I was clear. First, I have to be clear with myself. If I can visualize the concept of what is it I want to write about, then first I create what's called an holographic template. I mean, I visualize and I start to put my ideas or the idea coming together, and I let the energy flow behind it. And ironically, the way I start physically writing my chapter is I was speaking at a conference in Sedona, and I had the schedule of the conference and I knew exactly when I was presenting. So I told my husband, you go take care of your vendor table. I'm going to stay in the hotel room within the vortex and I want to work on the chapter. And most of it was written during that weekend and I was in Sedona. And when I came back, I put it on the side and then came back to it to finalize what final blueprint, final thought I want to bring. And I look at the journey, I always feel, okay, is it exactly what I want to convey? And then, of course, I consult with my Octarian delegation, my Octarian father, and I feel like, okay, from on behalf of our voices, is that what we want to say? And then this is where I finalize it and I send it the first draft. But that was my process. And that's something I allow myself to do. And I think it's a good inspiration for everyone, regardless of what you do, whether it's a life decision, whether it's, a meditation, whether it's allowing yourself to explore a new classes or a new direction of career. Take the time to visualize it within yourself. Imagine this canvas in front of you and feel already what it feels now, how it's going to evolve, and where it can potentially lead you. And I do that with everything I create.
Beautiful. Thank you, Vivian. One of the things that I'm so proud of on this project is not just the quality of the amazing stories of transformation, but just the presentation that we've sought to do with the hardback book and the paperback book. You'll notice there's a 1 here for a reason. Like, we have a vision for lots of different books that come out that are all called Awaken Hearts, because there are countless stories of awakening. And so in these amazing stories that you're telling, there are so many other people that have stories to tell. We've got the beautiful photos inside of the dust jacket there on the front and the back. And then for each chapter itself, today, as Julie mentioned, the 24th day of July, here is Julie's chapter with her wonderful picture of her there on chapter 24, June 24th. Yes. Did I say something else? What did I say?
July.
Oh, I said July. My apologies. And then, of course, her bio in the back here with her photo, and then her website and QR code. You can scan that and go right to her website. So we wanted to make it easy for you to be able to connect with these authors, to say thank you for sharing their story, and also to be able to reach out to them for support and encouragement as well. Julie, talk to us about your process of writing this chapter. What was that like for you? What is your writing process like, just in and of itself?
Well, sure. First of all, my chapter is Divine Whispers. I don't think I mentioned that. And it was very cathartic as well. I found myself going through a lot of old feelings and bringing some of those that I had processed already, but then going even deeper, very similar to you, Natasha. There were moments where I shed some tears and really kind of sat back to absorb it and let that kind of pass and move through me. And so it was very healing in writing it. And I found myself really starting to get into it. I kind of come alive at night, and I'll start kind of channeling what I'm going to be doing. And so I start the process of that. I would stay up until sometimes 1 or 2 in the morning writing, because I was really on a roll. And then I'd come back the next morning, or I'd wake up with a thought and I had to just go write it down before I forgot it and go back to sleep. And then I would come back the next day and work on it and then give it a rest a little bit. So it was kind of exciting. And I had a lot more information that I had to cut back. So I guess I have a second book in me, or a second chapter.
Yes, absolutely.
So
Wonderful.
that was kind of exciting to feel that there was more to say. And I feel that the process itself was really kind of opens you up to just kind of channeling into something that you don't normally do, because I never considered myself a writer either.
Wonderful. Thank you, Julie. Appreciate you sharing.
You're welcome.
How about you, Dixie? Talk to us about what was it like writing this chapter for you and your own writing process?
It was, so I like to write early in the morning. So I would get up and meditate and get still and center my heart, center myself, and just write for for an hour or whatever it was in the morning. And then I would pray and meditate about, kind of like some people will channel different things just to see how it felt. Was it really coming from my heart? Was it genuine? Keeping the ego out of it. And also not throwing my old profession under the bus, because I think therapy is very important. And I have friends and colleagues who are therapists. So I was very tried to be very, very aware of that when I was writing this, because I love working with clients. It's just in a different way now. But I was tried to be very aware of that, but also kept going back to my heart, and okay, is this coming from here? Is it coming from here? And I'd constantly ask myself that. But it really was early in the morning, and just tapping into my heart, and it flowed. So I'm really happy that we were able to do this. So thank you.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
All right. Well, talk to us about your hopes for your chapter and the Awaken Hearts book itself. What are your hopes when someone reads your chapter? What do you hope that they experience and get out of it? Julie, do you mind sharing with us?
Of course not. My hope is that really for the entire book, that people find that there are other people that have gone through similar things that they might be experiencing now, and that through all the chaos that one might be experiencing right now, especially right now in these times, that's the chaos that you might be experiencing doesn't need to come in from yourself. You don't need to you can remove yourself from that and still start to heal your own self so that you can help that chaos really that's going on. Because as you start to center yourself and find ways to heal, that you become a ripple effect for the collective consciousness. And I'm hoping that my particular story, which is deep in, with grief, there's a lot of people that have gone through something similar, and so many, unfortunately. And it's really hard to come out of grief and to let them know that there's hope and there's so much that can be done to pull you out, that the grief that we might be going through after losing somebody might be so intense because there's so many layers, emotional layers that we have within ourselves. And until we release and kind of move some of those old emotions that have been trapped in our body and also in our energetic field out of our way, we can't quite see the light or get to that point. I always do an analogy with my clients is that, if you've got a glass of water and you've just been through so much trauma and so many things and your glass is full, you just, pour one more thing on top and you have no capacity to hold that in your field or in your body. And so as we start to release and as people, start to remove all of that trapped energy, and all that emotional baggage, that you open up new pathways. There's like so much more that can come to you. So you allow that, you create space for the healing. And so I just want people to know.
What URL, what website can people go to learn more about you and connect with you and your work?
Yes, my business is under the name White Hawk Wisdom. So it's under whitehawkwisdom.com. And yeah. And then I can be reached also on Instagram. I'm under Julie Wasmer. And on Facebook, I'm under both Julie Wasmer, White Hawk Wisdom combined.
Great. Thank you, Julie. Natasha, how about you? What is your hope for this book and your chapter in particular?
Yeah, so my number one goal my intention is to inspire others. And in my life, when people have shared with me a different perspective, a higher perspective, I have appreciated it so much that I find joy in doing that for others, helping people see things from a different perspective. And so if I can do that for someone, that brings me great joy. And also, all of these stories, we've talked about how we've shifted from, before the awakening to after the awakening. And if people can see that there are unlimited possibilities for the way that we can create things in life, maybe it'll inspire people to create something anew.
Wonderful. And where can people find you online and connect and follow you?
My website is heartrootedhealth.com. And on Instagram, it's at Heart Rooted Health. And then Facebook is Natasha Lansing Davidson.
Great. Viviane, what is your hope for your chapter and the book in general?
It's more of an invitation. It's an invitation. It's a journey that my chapter is really much of a journey. And I remember one of the things you said, David, when after you read, you said, "Whoa, that's visceral." It really create a huge response for you. So it's more an invitation of a deeper awakening to a more multidimensional reality, universe, perspective, living. It's an invitation to come to cultivate living in benevolence. It's understanding other life forms, honoring reverence for all life, sentient life. So it's an invitation to step into that gateway of ancient galactic wisdom through a human experience that bridge the two together because there's no separation. And the more we step into it, we help to heal ourselves, to move beyond the wounds, the trauma, the grief, the sadness, and what else there is. What else is possible for you individually, your family, your friends, your community? What else is possible for the human race? Well, also the other life, honoring animal kingdom. When you earth a life, you're hurting your own self. And being able to step into a beyond a barrier that may feel like it may challenge you at first, mentally, emotionally, etherically, as a human, as a spiritual being, but also to open that higher mind perspective connected with your higher heart, and to feel also how it's been for me to be here, living this life, among all of you, and the selflessness behind it, because I can see that my presence here is so much bigger than my own considerations. So, where do I want to invest my light, my energy, my presence the most, rather than dwelling on too much emotion and then the mastery of them? So, I feel like it's an invitation for us to take this journey and see what else is possible. And I can think that overall, the book itself, combined with so many layers, it's going to offer that to readers and speak to you to where you need the most at the moment.
Wonderful. Thank you, Viviane. And where can people follow your work and connect with you online?
Yeah, so definitely octurianuniversity.com is also on Infinite Healing from the stars.com. Under my name, Viviane Chauvet, I have a beautiful YouTube channel with meditation series, interviews, podcasts online. I'm everywhere, literally. And so easy to find us. Octurianuniversity.com is the best way to explore what else is possible.
Wonderful. Thank you, Viviane. Dixie, how about yourself? What is your hope for the book and your chapter in particular?
Yeah, the main message is we're not alone. No one is alone. Um, we're here as a spirit having a human experience. Um, you may be going through something really, really hard, but you're not alone in that. That's the main thing. And also knowing that you're a spirit having a human experience, you have the power, if you will, to give yourself permission to change your life. And a lot of people feel stuck. They feel stuck where they are, but I want them to know they're not. But they have to believe that they can change it, even if it's one step every day, something small. They can change their lives to create a life that they love. So that is my hope: is that people know they're not alone. They're loved. We're all one, and you can change your life. But you have to take that step, which is the hardest part. Is taking the first step.
And where can people find you online and follow your work?
My name, DixieWillis.com. My LinkedIn is Spiritual Life, Dixie Willis Spiritual Life Coach. And Facebook is Dixie Willis Healing, I believe. Those are my links. So DixieWillis.com for sure. So
Good. Awesome. Well, it's been so great to be with each one of you today. And those of you who are watching, really encourage you to pick up Awakened Hearts book. You can get it at awakenedheartsbook.com. And there's hardcover, paperback, and ebook available to you. And it would encourage you to leave an Amazon review. You know, our goal is to share these stories as far and wide as possible. And those Amazon reviews really help us. One, it creates credibility. So as people look at the book, they go, wow, okay, this is what people are thinking about the book. And so we'd love just an honest, heartfelt review from you as you buy the book, whether it's the ebook, paperback, or hardback. And so we're doing these author interviews each day this week. We also have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday coming up. We also did Sunday and Monday, which you can watch on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, on all the different platforms. And it's a great way to get to know these incredible authors. All right. Guys, thank you so much. It's so good to be with you today. And I encourage you, viewers, to follow Natasha and Vivian, Dixie and Julie online and get in touch with them so that you can just follow the amazing things that they're doing in the world. So great to be with you. And I hope you guys have a great afternoon. All right. Thank you.
David.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.